All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets today on this 3-game slate this Sunday. Let's go ahead and get into it. But first, just a quick recap from yesterday. So yesterday, the PrizePicks bet goes 3 for 6 on the day. And then the underdog slip ends up going 5 for 8 on the day with the same 3 missing. A little bit unfortunate there. So that ended up leaving our pick total still at about 62% on the season. And now yesterday I kind of mentioned that it felt like much more of a just sportsbook type day. So it kind of depends on whether or not you are someone that does more traditional betting. If you did, you had yourself a good day. If you did PrizePicks Underdog, you knowingly knew it was going to be a tighter slate slip. You know, a lot of the bets that we were betting on had the under favorited to hit, which I felt like I did a good job explaining that was kind of the expectation for the day yesterday. Looking at today's slate, I do want to start off with some expected value bets that we currently have. So Luka, for his over points on PrizePicks and FanDuel, on DraftKings and FanDuel, if you guys are someone that plays there, we're getting a slight edge there, about 0.7% on both sides there. Take advantage of that if you guys are someone that plays there. And then we're looking at two of the same prop bets that were popping up for the Flex Friday video, where instead of going Zachary Rice-Shasher, we went with Clint Capella. If we flip that, the Flex Friday slip ends up going, it would have been 5 for 5 with a push. That's a little bit tilted there. But we kind of run into that same conundrum today as well. So Clint Capella is someone that we don't know what to expect with the minutes, because last slate, his minutes went up a kind of drastic amount. He ended up getting 29 minutes in that game. Thus, he easily got his over. Now, I kind of contribute that to him just going out and having a very good first quarter. And thus, they gave him a little bit extra run instead of giving that extra run to Onyeka Okongwu. It does seem to be like that's more of a hot hand situation. And then Zachary Rice-Shasher, he is someone that didn't get that many minutes in the last game. He ended up only getting 20 minutes. And obviously, yeah, if he doesn't get a lot of minutes again, that's going to be something that we like. Coming in off of that game against Washington, where he had 35 minutes, that's a big difference. And obviously, that really increases the likelihood or unlikelihood of a prop bet to hit. And then, just calling out Clint Capella, he ended up getting about, really 5 more minutes than he expected to get last game. And then you look at Onyeka Okongwu, who only ended up getting about 20 minutes. So that does seem to be like a little bit of a guessing game. I didn't catch if Onyeka got injured, which led to Capella. I saw it during the game, and to me, it just felt like Capella had been playing a little bit better, so they just gave him a little bit more run, that extra rotation that Onyeka would typically get. Then we got some kind of interesting prop bets, I would say, here that are popping up on the PrizePicks cheat sheet. Tobias Harris to get under 34 fantasy score. Now we are seeing that the projection data likes the over a little bit there. Jaylen Duren to get over his fantasy score. To me, guys, Atlanta and Detroit, they're two teams that I can't really target too heavily right now, because if we knew that Jaylen Duren was going to get, let's see, if we knew for sure, he was going to get 26 minutes, I would almost be fine betting this over, but we don't. And then there's also Jaden Ivey, whose fantasy score seems to be too low to me if he were to get 30 minutes. Okay, but their minutes have seemingly been a little bit random as well. Getting less than 20 minutes last game without really getting into foul trouble. Sure, he probably just was terrible to start the game, but 4 for 9. So it more or less just seemed like it was more of a look thing. And then, we look at someone like Jaylen Duren as well. Jaylen Duren is someone that only had 20 minutes in that game, 11 in the previous game. And then, the first few games had 30 plus minutes. And so, if we could lock in that 30 minutes, if that 30 minutes is correct, I would love that. But that's kind of the issue with those two teams, is that we don't know exactly what to expect with the minutes. And then even Tobias Harris, yes, for him, I can clearly say it's just a blowout. He got less minutes, and that's always a part of the equation, it seems like, for Detroit. But they're going against Brooklyn, who Brooklyn is going to be pretty thin today. I'm expecting Ben Simmons to sit on what's going to be the front end of a back-to-back. Now, if he doesn't sit today, it's going to be tomorrow. So we're trying to gain an edge here by being correct about when Ben Simmons is going to sit, because we know it's more than likely going to be one of the two games. And so if he does end up sitting, Ben Simmons that is, that actually leads me into a couple of my favorite bets here on Underdog, really. So we got Dennis Schroeder to get over 17.5 points on PrizePicks. This has actually been bumped up to 18. But this is one that I would like. You look at his per 36 production with Ben Simmons off the court, 23 points per 36, only 3.3 rebounds, 10.6 assists. So again, if you're someone that maybe does more of traditional sportsbooks, I actually I don't mind the over assist at 7.5. Again, it's more of a traditional sportsbook bet. And let's see here, where's the best odds for that? Just on FanDuel. plus 104. So if you guys like that bet, by all means, that'd be the route to go. But he's someone that clearly benefits there. And then Nick Claxton as well. We're not getting any props for him just yet. And I don't know if we're going to or not, but looking at his production, guys, he should be someone that gets a little bit more run in this game. It's not guaranteed. We need him to get, a decent amount of run. His per 36 production is great. His minutes have been honestly strange. I would not have expected this. But his per 36 production, for what it's worth, 16.5 points, 14.4 rebounds, and at like 40 fantasy points per 36. He is like a point per minute producer, a little bit over that. And so if he does get 30 minutes or so in this game, kind of in replace Ben Simmons being out, then he's going to be a good option. And I phrase it that way because they are still thin, although Noah Clowney is going to be good to go in this game as well. So they might still split the minutes there. And then you also have Finney Smith that's still going to get a little bit of run at the 5 as well. All right, so another kind of fascinating spot on the slate, just in general, is going to be with Jordan Hawkins and Jose Alvarado. So both those two are very interesting, and both of those two, I would argue, are being valued incorrectly. But we are getting props on Jordan Hawkins, so I'm assuming he's going to play. And so what I mean by that is we know that CJ McCollum is out. We know that DeJounte Murray is out. When those two players are out and Jordan Hawkins is on the court, Jordan Hawkins has really been great. Averages 21 points per 36, 5.1 rebounds, only 1.2 assists per 36, but averages a 24% usage rate and 28 fantasy points per 36. So really, all these props that I'm looking at here, I kind of like his over fantasy score, his over PRA. I kind of like them all. They're all pretty solid. I would argue that the points and rebounds would probably be the best one. Vegas is telling us that the over is the most likely, so I'm kind of okay with rolling with that one. But he's questionable. He could sit. And if he sits, that creates a lot of value elsewhere. Now, the player that doesn't really change in terms of value, regardless if Jordan Hawkins plays, is Zion, and we'll get into that in just a second. But let's look at Jose Alvarado. So he is someone that if Hawkins plays, his lines are all too high because I don't think he would get the minutes then that Vegas is expecting. Like, he's projected to get 19 minutes. He's not going to be able to crush his overs. And so this is one where I've already went out and paired some over Jordan Hawkins bets with some unders for Jose. And it's just one of those things where it's weird. I don't really understand why we're getting prop bets for both of them, honestly, but I think that's the best route to go. So I know the day is telling us to bet the over. I don't mind the over fantasy score if Hawkins sits. If he plays, the data tells us really just to bet the unders. Whereas if Hawkins sits, then you look at Alvarado and he's going to be a decent option because then his fantasy points per 36 are about 43. And you might be wondering, will he get those points or will he get those minutes? And that's tough to say for sure, but he's gotten 32 and 35 minutes the past few games and really has crushed the overs in those games. And so we look at all the lines that we're getting for him. Again, I'm kind of okay with all of them, but if Hawkins sits, the over fantasy score should be one that hits. But really, regardless, all of them should hit. His per 36 production with Hawkins off the court is about 12 points per 36, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. And so those are, kind of a little bit too low. And then 20% usage rate. So all those a little bit too low. And so again, if you're obviously you could bet on Hawkins regardless. If he plays or sits, that doesn't matter. It's just not a bet toward it is a bet. So I think you would just want to favor Hawkins overs regardless because I think they're a little bit too low. And then I want to talk about Zion as well. So Zion went out and had a massive game last slate. This was actually one of the tilting ones. I forget which day I was on Zion, but I mentioned his over rebounds. And I think that would have been correct had he not shot the basketball extremely well. He's shot 20 times, missed 4 shots total or something crazy, maybe 6 shots, just extremely efficient. So a couple of those bunny rebounds that he typically gets, he did not get in that game. It was tilting. He played too well. We were too correct about the situation almost. But he is someone that does benefit a lot with McCollum and DeJounte Murray off the court, obviously, right? And so kind of looking at his stats, again, Zion, 26 points per 36, 8.7 rebounds. Do the math there. This is a decent line, but not exactly one I would want to really need a target. And so for me, I think I'd rather just target his rebounds somewhere else on a different site. If you guys have access to that, plus 114 on FanDuel, I'd be fine with that. Again, it's per 36 production, about 8.7 rebounds per 36. Just can't be that efficient again. Then I want to look at Orlando as well, specifically Jaylen Suggs. Jaylen Suggs is someone that's been playing extremely well this season already, and the minutes have been there for him. The frustration with Orlando last year was that we couldn't really project the minutes to be over 30, and I know he's only projected at 27 minutes this game. But the reason why I like him is going to be Banchero is still out, and so with him out, we do see Suggs really just kind of dominate. And so to me, I'm looking at his minutes game log, and I kind of think that the projected minutes are just wrong right now. And that's probably why we're getting some good lines Vegas-wise as well, and kind of why I think they're standing out to me as well. And so kind of getting back into his profile here, his per 36 production thus far this season with Banchero off the court, 28 points per 36, 7.8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 30% usage rate. That should tell us all we need to know. 54 fantasy points per 36. And so I'm kind of looking at all the lines that we have here. I'm kind of okay with all of them. Like, honestly, the rebounds seem to be off by arguably 2 assists, probably correct. But 3-pointers made is even a little bit too low. Now, I do want to call it. It would not be entirely shocking if he has a bad game. This is like the toughest matchup that they've faced thus far in terms of fantasy points given up to opposing point guards. That's the biggest concern. But overall, he should be good to go. And then I do want to call it Mo Wagner as well. He is someone that benefits greatly in terms of minutes and in terms of production with Banchero off the court. And so I was looking around last slate and we didn't get any props for him. I don't know if we're going to get any props for him on this slate as well, but I want to call it out in case we do. He averages, and he's not going to get 36 minutes. This is per 36 production. He's not going to get this, but I'm just so you guys know, 24 points per 36, 10 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 28% usage rate, 40 fantasy points per 36. And again, he's probably going to get like 10 less minutes than that, maybe 8 less minutes than that. So we do have to drastically reduce that down. I would say if we're getting lines that are basically the same as this, that he scored last slate against Cleveland, I like the overs. Then lastly, I want to talk about PJ Washington. So we're not getting his fantasy score prop line in here just yet. We do have that on PrizePicks. And in case you're wondering why that might not be popping up, it's simply because we're probably not getting like a turnover line or a block or steal line. We need to get all those lines in there for that to be able to pull up on the 9-to-5 cheat sheet, or else it's not a full sample, right? Obviously, right? We need to have all that data, all those data points in there to tell you guys, for the sheet to tell you guys whether or not we're gaining an edge or not gaining an edge using the average sportsbook data. But I think the lines that we're getting on him are way too low. And again, I don't exactly love the matchup with Orlando, but if PJ Washington continues to get 36 minutes or so like he has been getting, he should be able to crush this over. I really don't get this. It's like he had one bad game against the Spurs where he didn't get a lot of minutes, and that has like created some sort of bias with him. And again, not an ideal matchup, but we look at his minutes that he's been getting lately, 37, 32, 33, and 35. Like he only had one game where he didn't get that many minutes. Going against Wemby, I guess, was maybe part of it. But if he gets those minutes again, I think he has a great chance to get that over fantasy score, or just all of them, really. But I like the over fantasy score because he is someone that does get multiple blocks and steals. So if he's not shooting the basketball well, he can still make up for that with blocks and steals as well. Blocks and steals count for 3 points, guys. So that does make a massive difference there. And it is one of those things where you don't want to count on blocks and steals all the time, but it's just another way where he can make a difference in the game when he maybe isn't shooting the basketball all too well. All right, so we're about to get into the 9-to-5 bet of the day, but I do just want to call out the 9-to-5 membership is only $10 a month. When you use promo code KEEPCASH, you guys will get access to all the tools that you just saw in this video for just $8 a month for the first month. So take advantage of that. It's a very good value out there for you guys. And so looking at the PrizePicks bet of the day, going with Dennis Schroeder to get his over fantasy score again. He should just be heavily involved. Averages 44 fantasy points per 36 with Ben Simmons off the court. That's really what I'm banking on here. Now, he could still get the over regardless, but that drastically increases the likelihood of this bet hitting. And then for this bet slip, I did go with Jordan Hawkins to get over his points and rebounds. Again, I want to call out, though, that if Jordan Hawkins sits, then Jose Alvarado is going to be someone we're betting the over with. I should also just put in Jose Alvarado to get his under fantasy score here. That's a route that I can go and would go. If you guys don't like messing with the minutes here for Atlanta, that's something you can do. Again, I kind of mentioned that these are the two best prop bets on the board, but I also think that's because Vegas doesn't exactly know how many minutes they're going to get. So they're more on the conservative side, I'm assuming, here with the minutes that they're going to get because they have been sporadic and random. And so that's why the under fantasy score is being favorited there. And then Jaylen Suggs, that's a lot of fantasy score. I will say there that. I just, you look at the per 36 production with Banchero off the court, 54 fantasy points per 36. Now, the concern maybe he has a poor day shooting. That's about it. And then PJ Washington over fantasy score. Again, don't exactly love the matchup. This is going to be I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a lighter day. It's only a three slate game, but I do feel like we're getting a little bit of peak here for like Suggs and Dennis Schroeder. Like their fantasy score is kind of at a peak value, if that makes sense. And then, guys, the underdog slip is just going to be much more concentrated here. Jordan Hawkins over PRA. This is one where honestly it might just do points and rebounds to 21.5. I made this bet before I really decided I like that one a little bit better. I think I would sub that in there instead. But then we're going Dennis Schroeder for over 17.5 points. And then also Jaylen Suggs over 17.5 points. Those pretty much heavily correlate with them getting their over fantasy scores as well. So this is kind of like yesterday where, you know, we're double dipping a little bit. Hopefully that's a good thing today where hopefully they don't have poor night shooting, cold night shooting, and they're able to get these overs here. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck with all your bets today, both NFL and NBA wise. That's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to leave a like on the video. That does help out a lot. If you guys want access to any of the tools, again, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to them for just $10 a month. We'll use promo code KeepCashing and get it for $8 a month. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.